Reptilians, welcome and welcome back to the channel. This video I am so excited about. We have been working on this video for a couple months now. It didn't take that long to build this tank, but we did want to let everything settle in before the video was posted. And as you guys know, this is kind of a thing. Lots of reptile YouTubers here are posting the same video at the same time on the same day, right meow. Thank you so much to Vision Products and Josh's Frogs for providing the cage and providing all the plants and things to go in the cage. I had so much fun building this. I haven't built a bioactive tank in a while, and so I was excited to build this one. I don't want this intro to be super long, so let's get started. So as I stated earlier, joshsfrogs.com was kind enough to send me a whole bunch of stuff to set up this tank with, and so I had 3 or 4 boxes to unbox of things for this tank, including this really cool moss hide that I am in love with, and a bunch of stuff to do a background. Some of this stuff I didn't end up using. I thought I was going to use it, and I did not end up being able to. But we have a whole bunch of bioactive stuff, substrates, false bottoms, substrate barriers, and then of course we have the tank. This is a Vision cage from customcages.com. It is the model 215, the 28 long by 14 deep by 20 inches high model, and this model is really cool because it has glass doors and there's a lot of ventilation across the top that you can also use to shine lights through for your plants. And then it was just making the background. This is actually the first time that we have ever made our own background in a bioactive tank, so we were super excited about it and it was a lot of fun. We will have a video in depth on how to make this background and the exact products that were used on Wednesday if you're interested in seeing that. Otherwise, everything that we used here will be linked in the description. This video was going to be way too long if I tried to go into depth about how to build the background. Essentially, we just have driftwood and cork bark and expanding foam, black silicone over the expanding foam, and then we use a cocoa core to go over the silicone to make those really cool bioactive backgrounds. This was a very long process. This was waiting days and days and days for things to dry, things to expand, things to air out. This is a very long process, so if you're going to build a background for your tank, I highly advise doing it weeks in advance. Vision Products was also super cool, and they sent this substrate barrier just in case our substrate layer was going to be really thick, which mine of course was going to be because I'm going to have a lot of live plants in this tank. So installing this was super easy. There was a screen protector thing on it to keep it from getting scratched up. It was sticky stuff on the bottom and you just stick it in there and that's it. And then we're filling up this tank. First things first is a false bottom. This is from Josh's Frogs, as was most things in this tank. I ended up using 2 bags of this. I think I honestly could have used a 3rd bag, but I only ordered 2. So we put 2 bags in there. You have to pre-rinse the false bottom, so I just pre-rinse it in the bag. That's why it's all wet. And then I am putting substrate barrier on top. I ordered 2 of these and ended up using 1.5 to fully cover the bottom. As you know, all this does is prevents your substrate from getting down into your drainage layer. It keeps them separate so that your drainage layer can do its job and aerate that soil and drain that soil. As for substrate, we are using ABG mix. I absolutely love this stuff. This does wonderful to grow plants. It is a mixture of multiple different things, including moss and charcoal. This stuff works really good. I ended up using 3 bags of this. It doesn't really come mixed up in the bag, so as I pour it into the tank, I just kind of use my hands to mix it up to make sure it has a good consistency going on. And with the ABG mix, I like to add a topper because the ABG mix does have charcoal in it, so any tank where a animal may potentially be eating live bugs, I like to put something on top to cover the ABG mix so that way the animal doesn't accidentally ingest chunks of charcoal. And for that, I usually use Scott's topsoil, which is kind of my go-to, and I'm mixing that with expanded eco earth. After getting that all pat down nice and solid, I am then using this awesome moss hide that I love so much. After I put the background in, the moss hide didn't quite fit. I did not account for the background. It fit perfectly before the background. So luckily this is very bendable. There's just wires in it and moss, so I was able to kind of bend that front down to make it fit. And then I'm just adding plants. My subscribers know that I don't have the best track record with plants. My plants are doing good now. I've definitely gotten a lot better over the years. If you look on each of these labels, I've taken a Sharpie and written notes about it, trying to let these plants live. And for anyone who may be wondering, this is Josh's Frog's 20-gallon tropical vivarium plant kit. And I actually had a really solid outcome with the plants this time. I let this tank be set up for a month before I put any animal in it. And I only had 3 plants die off out of the 11 that it came with, which I'm very happy about. I forgot to show the container, but I also added pothos because I am really good at growing those. After all the plants are situated, we are putting in springtails. Springtails are one of the essential parts of a bioactive cleanup crew. Springtails are what is going to eat waste and keep this tank clean. On top of those springtails, I am just putting in moss. This is the Chilean sphagnum moss, and I've never used this specific one before, but it is so much softer than the ones that you get at the store. And leaf litter, Josh's Frogs only had these big leaves at the time of ordering, so I'm crunching up some of those, and then I'm using some of the smaller leaf litter that I already had on hand to kind of fill in the rest. After this, we are adding isopods, which is another very important part of the cleanup crew. They're going to eat dying leaves or dead plants and also waste, and they're just going to keep everything nice and tidy while simultaneously rotating the soil to aerate the plant roots. After that, I'm just giving it a very thorough spray down to basically soak everything so that way the isopods and springtails are happy and the plants are watered. And then it was just time to install the glass doors. I really like these doors. The glass is super thick and they slide very, very well. Plus, with the substrate barrier being as high as it is, I had absolutely zero issues with the substrate getting down to the tracks, which, as you know, can be an issue and it can make sliding that door a little bit more difficult. And for the handles, these are just stick-on handles. There's the sticky stuff is already on there and you just put it on. So this was what we were looking at so far. This was supposed to be the final result and I really like how this looks, but I realized very quickly that there wasn't a lot of ground cover here. The animal that was going in here is very, very shy. So I ended up adding a whole bunch of creeping Jenny. I made sure that they were completely animal safe, and the only complaint that I saw about them is that they tend to overgrow the tank, but that's kind of what I want here because I want her to feel very secure whenever she's walking around. And now it's just time to add the animal. This is Mazikeen, my high color Chinese cave gecko, who actually also originally came from Josh's Frogs. I got her from Craigslist, but the lady before me got her from Josh's Frogs. Mazikeen does not like to be held. She does not like to be touched. I tried to take her out of the tank with my hands, and she definitely lurched back at me. So for both of our sakes, we decided that she'd be happier in a deli cup doing this. She crawled directly into the deli cup, so we were all good. You can see she's checking out her tank. Mazikeen hides all the time. People ask me a lot if I ever see her. Not really, no. This is the most active that I've seen her since I very first put her in her old tank, and she spent a large amount of time climbing the walls and just exploring, which is awesome. She didn't really have very much room to climb in her old tank. Here she can climb and she likes to climb. She is a very happy gecko and I am super happy that she's so happy. And that is it. That is my tank for the NanoVivarium Challenge from Josh's Frogs and Vision Products. If you're interested in any of the things you saw here, it will all be linked down below, so make sure to check out that description. Thank you again to Josh's Frogs and Vision Products for sending me this stuff and allowing me to participate in this challenge. As always, if you have not already, please feel free to follow me on my other socials and like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications every single time I put out a new video, which is every Sunday and some Wednesdays. This week's Instagram shout shout out is for Mrs. McNulty for following me on Instagram and going through and liking a whole bunch of my stuff. And this week's subscriber shout out is for AcesFan29 for commenting on last week's video. Thank you guys both so much. You are the bee's knees. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.